There is a supernatural world that surrounds us, and sometimes it manifests to people like you and me. You'll hear stories about this and so much more right here on Supernatural Confrontations. Very interesting story, and you be the judge. But I'll let Kelly tell it, and we'll go from there. But I don't know. I'll weigh in on it. But first, a word from our sponsor. All right, folks, is investing in silver today a good idea? Colin Plume from our friends at Noble Gold thinks so. We had Colin on the show last month, and the reason why I did this, they're a trusted sponsor, but I've invested my money with Noble Gold. A good portion of the cash that we had on hand, we converted into precious metals, and I'm not telling you to do anything that I'm not doing myself. Okay, so on the national desk, Colin explains there has been a huge sell-off of silver because of its low price right now. Silver is the most useful industrial metal out there, and demand is soaring for electronics and electronic cars, solar panel circuits, as the green agenda begins to speed up. As industries pick up after the pandemic supply chain issues, the trend down should reverse quickly and silver may rocket. Now that's, he doesn't have a crystal ball, nor do I, but it certainly could go up. Folks, don't miss this. Give the team at Noble Gold a call and join thousands of others, including myself, who've taken advantage of this blip in the market. They'll guide you through the process and make it easy for you. And this month, you'll get a stunning free 3-ounce silver American Virtue coin with a qualified IRA of $20,000 or higher. Folks, you can't go wrong with Noble Gold, and that's why we've put our money in with Noble Gold. I believe it may be the safest place to put your cash right now. Call the team, 877-646-5347, 877-646-5347, or visit noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com. Folks, tell them L.A. Marzulli sent you. So I'll let Kelly tell the story, and then at the end of it, I will weigh in, as I always do. And, you guys can weigh in on the comment section. Here's his testimony. Folks, thanks so much for watching Supernatural Confrontations. I'm here with Kelly, who's reached out to us, and thank you, Kelly, for doing so and being courageous for coming on the record. So you had something happen. We'll just call it an angelic encounter. Pick up the story, please.
Well, back in the early 80s, when I was in high school, my parents used to go most summers up to Featherville, Idaho, and they'd go wood cutting with my aunt and uncle who were from Boise. And this one particular trip, I didn't get to go. I had a summer job and wasn't able to go with them. So they went up to the mountains. They live in a small town here in southern Idaho. So they went up to the mountains and started doing their wood cutting. And they usually pushed really hard, really worked really hard at it, tried to get, several cords of wood cut so they could supply enough for my aunt and uncle and also for them over the course of the winter. And this one particular day they were up there, it was a Saturday, and they were pushing pretty hard, like I said, and it was getting close to noon, and they were going to stop for lunch. And they thought, well, we're gonna drop one more tree. So they got to work on it with their chainsaws. And as the tree fell, it got hung up either on another tree or something like that. And my uncle and my dad started working to get it down. And when it came down, it bounced and it landed on my dad's leg.
Ooh.
And no matter what they tried, they couldn't get that tree off of him. So, they started to panic, and my mom, who's a believer, and my aunt, who is also, they just decided, well, let's start praying. So they prayed and asked the Lord for help to try to get this tree off my dad. And but not too much longer, they looked up this road that leads down off the mountain, and here's this little man on a tractor driving up, and
This kind of appears out of nowhere.
yeah, that's the way it seemed. And he appeared to be a Basque guy in this part of Idaho. A lot of the Basque people moved over from that part of Spain,
Uh-huh.
and a lot of them got jobs doing sheep herding. And they have these little wagons they use. It's place to sleep, place to cook, and a lot of times they would pull them around with these little tractors. And here he comes down the road, and they thought, oh wow, it's a Basque sheep herder. I want so they flag him down, and he comes up and he starts working on it. I'm not sure how he did it, except probably had a chain or something. And he got the log off my dad's leg, and they tried to talk to him and say thanks, thanks for helping us out, and he's just smiling and nod, doesn't really say anything. And he gets back up on his tractor and heads back down the road, same way he came. And so my aunt and uncle and my mom got dad into the pickup truck, and they started down the mountain and to get him to the hospital. And they figured, well, we'll see this Basque sheep herder off the side of the road somewhere, tending his sheep. And they kept watch for him as they drove down the road back off the mountain, and there was no sheep and there was no Basque sheep herder.
So let me ask you this.
So
When they're driving down this road, is it like heavy forest and there's just no way that this guy can kind of pull over? There's a little side road or something.
yeah, there's no other roads, but there sometimes there's little areas where it's like a little meadow that's out in kind of this open area in the trees in the forest. So they just assumed they were going to see this meadow and there'd be a bunch of sheep up there, and that guy would be tending his sheep. And they drove and they kept watching for him, looking for him. And they're like, wow, there's no sheep herder. So to this day, my mom will tell everybody that will listen, that was an angel that showed up to save her husband that day.
Did your
And
dad have a broken leg? Was the leg broken, fractured?
yeah, broke his ankle, and they had to pin it, but he healed up and walks fine, and no bad problems from it since. But yeah, in fact, I was talking to my parents when we went out to the outback here in town a couple of months ago, and I asked them about this because I seem to remember it, but it was 40 some years ago, so I wasn't sure if I
Wow.
remembered it
Okay.
correctly. So
Yeah.
I was asking them about it, and made sure when I emailed you, I wanted to make sure I had all the details straight. And the other thing that happened, I don't know if it was that particular trip, but one of the other trips, when they went up to cut wood, they saw something flash across the sky, and they don't know if it was a meteor or if maybe it was a UFO. And I just have to wonder, they very likely they had an angelic visit, and it's also very likely that Satan tried to counterfeit another supernatural event. So I just have to wonder if maybe it was a UFO instead of a meteor, or maybe either one. But yeah, I just have to wonder if Satan was trying to counterfeit, like he always does, an act of God.
Well, let me ask you something with this little guy on a tractor. Now, did your parents describe what he looked like?
No, just just a short guy with probably 5'4", 5'5", smaller stature, dark skin, just looked like the typical Basque, Basque man. And they don't remember him saying anything. He just kind of smiled and nodded and helped him get, I don't know if he hooked up a chain or whatever he did, but he, got the log off my dad's leg, and that's really all they know about him.
Now, when he came up with the tractor, um, how long was it? So out of the blue, the tractor just shows up, right? I mean, out of the
Yeah.
blue.
Yeah,
So,
it wasn't too much longer after they prayed.
okay, so they pray. Let's say 3 or 4 minutes go by. The guy in the tractor shows up. What I'm trying to get at, when they get your dad in the pickup truck, what kind of an interim is that? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes? So he's there, log gets lifted, he hops on the tractor, everybody says,
Yeah.
thank you. But I'm assuming immediately they put your dad in the pickup truck. Is that
Oh yeah.
okay?
They as quickly as they
So,
could because they had to rush him to the hospital. But
okay, so they rush him to the hospital. So maybe the guy on the tracker has like what, a 2 minute lead, a 3 minute lead, maybe?
maybe 10 minutes at the most,
Okay,
probably
10
15 minutes.
minutes.
Yeah,
That's a long time.
yeah, yeah. But there were no side roads that go off that main road off the mountain, and yeah, that's the only thing they can figure is that it was an angelic
There's
visit
no
there.
way that this little guy on this tractor is going to go off on some hidden tangent off the road, right? I mean, it's just not going to happen.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Kelly, thank you for the story. I really appreciate it. And it just,
Oh, it's
the
my pleasure.
supernatural is real, and God interacts.
Yeah,
Some people go, well, why didn't the angel just touch him and heal him? Well, that wasn't in the cards for whatever reason. I mean, we don't,
yeah,
the fact is
yeah,
that someone showed up. I mean, your dad could have easily succumbed now what? They're going to drive down. Let me ask you something. How long
yeah.
was it from where they were to the hospital, roughly?
Well, they would have had to go. See, they were up above Featherville, Idaho. So the closest there might be a clinic in Featherville, but they would have had to go to Mountain Home, Idaho, which is like almost an hour away
Okay,
just
so
to
it's
get
an
to the
hour.
hospital. So yeah, so
Was
they
your dad
were.
bleeding or anything? Was he losing any blood?
He didn't mention that. It was just the leg was swelling, or ankle was swelling up. I'm sure he was scratched up,
Oh,
but the
sure.
main thing was they assumed it was broken because of the swelling and the bruising.
Well, Kelly, thanks so much for telling the story. Appreciate it. And it's just really
I
good.
just wanted to add, if we've got time, LA, I just wanted to add, I I had no idea about what Genesis 6 meant until I was at my church Sunday school class and we were watching Chuck Missler's um, Bible in 24-hour series, and he went through what he felt, the fallen angels had done and come down and created the Nephilim, and that just blew my mind, and it was all I could do the last few years, researching who the Nephilim are, and that's what led me to your name was just doing a Google search, and that's how I found out about you and found out about your videos, and
Thank you.
it's kind of like a bucket list thing. I have this as a believer. I've got these list of heroes of the faith, I would call it, that I'd love to meet, and it's just a pleasure to meet you and talk to you,
Well,
albeit virtually. But
I
but anyway, yeah, I appreciate you giving
appreciate
me
that.
this opportunity, and it's nice to finally talk to you.
Well, glory to the King, because that's
Yeah,
why I'm here, all because of him.
yeah,
Kelly, thanks so much for coming on the record. We really appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
yeah. Thanks for having me.
So there you go. I mean, it's out of nowhere. This little guy on a tracker shows up. He sort of fits the description. Remember, Paul tells us, and you've heard me say this before, that many of us have entertained angels unawares. That means they can disguise themselves and look like the status quo. So it's exactly what they were hoping for. A little 5'6", 5'4" bass guy from Spain, a sheep herder on a small little tractor, and he just happens to show up minutes after the accident happens. So you be the judge. Remember, the wives got together and prayed, and shortly thereafter, this guy appears. And apparently, the road in the town, they should have overtaken this guy. And I asked him point blank, were there maybe a road he could, ditch in or hide in, or just for the tractor or whatever? No, nothing like that. I wasn't there. I don't know. I am a frank supernaturalist, as some of you know, and I always lean towards that. I lean first towards a natural explanation, but I'm also keeping my eyes wide open. And in my opinion, this was a supernatural confrontation. One of the good guys showed up, and just in the nick of time. Folks, episode 3, we'll probably get it next week, and we'll start shipping. I would really ask you to pony up and do the pre-order on that thing, buy all 3 of them, pop the popcorn, invite people over, have a UFO party. We are working on number 4. We'll show the trailer again today, as well as the trailer for number 3. The abduction film is, I believe, it's kind of where I've been leading to on all the other 3 films, sort of building up. The phenomenon is real, burgeoning, not going away. Not because L.A. Marzulli says so, because your government says so. It's happening. The church is woefully asleep. I was on several shows this week, and I'll be on John B. Wells' show, by the way, tomorrow night, Tuesday night. And that'll be a hoot. We'll be talking, of course, about number 3 and some of the testimonies that came out from that. Our government has stated on the record that UFOs are real, that they have, our government has in its possession off-world vehicles not made on this earth. Now Fox News is doing a special on alien abductions. So we can either, the church, and I'm part of a church, we can either remain asleep or we can go headlong into what's going on. I truly believe this is the coming great deception, which is why we have made 3 films, and so far, and the 4th one will be released right around Thanksgiving, Christmas time. Look, great Christmas gift. Get all 4 of them once we have the 4th one. And then, of course, 5 and 6 will follow that too. Not sure what that's about yet, although we've got a lot of footage in post-production. Look, the Bible tells us very succinctly that men will faint from fear from what is coming upon the earth. Now, that could be a mile-wide comment. It could be a lot of things. It could also be a mile-wide mothership. There are thousands of churches. Just hear my heart here. I live in the Los Angeles area, okay? There's 20 million people here? I'm going to guess there's 10,000 churches in the greater Los Angeles area, all sorts of different denominations. I'm just going to guess 10,000 churches. What do you think, right? I've never been invited to one of them to speak. Not one. Never been invited. Some guy wrote it on our comment section yesterday's show, or Friday's show, I should say, that, basically, you guys will believe anything. And I wrote him back and I said, ignorance and arrogance is a deadly combination. You're ignorant because you've never delved into the phenomena. I have no idea what it's about. And you're arrogant because you think you know everything about it. You put those together, deadly combination. What does Proverbs says? A fool answers the matter before he hears the whole matter. A fool in his folly answers the matter before hearing the totality of the argument, per se, or the information. I'm not calling the man a fool, but arrogance and ignorance is the deadly combination. It's time to understand that the phenomenon is not going away, and we are rapidly moving up the rungs of disclosure. By the way, and I'll get off my soapbox. If you have a supernatural confrontation, our producer, John Adam Hicks, will get to you. You don't have to continually email him. He's got about 500 emails in the queue, and we're working our way through. We can only do 5, 6, 7 of interviews a week, so that's it. You don't have to keep repeating and throwing the emails. We will get to you. That's a promise. Supernatural at lamarzulli.net. Supernatural at lamarzulli.net. And you can write just the shorter the better. A paragraph or 2 is great. We don't need, your life history. Just a paragraph or 2 telling us what the encounter was. John Adam Hicks will get to you. He's our line producer. He sets up the interviews for me. We did, I think, 5 or 6 last week. So anyway, and by the way, folks, I'm just so excited about this show because it gives you and me a platform to discuss real supernatural events in people's lives. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Remember, the supernatural is real, and sometimes it manifests to people like you and me. Thanks so much for watching.
They got their knowledge from the heavens.
He saw it, said, whoa, that's a UFO.
This orb comes up and it's bright orange.
I'm not wanting to make full eye contact with these things. But from what I did see, when I did look at them, they're like they're soulless.
It was right directly above us right here, and then it started tilting and moving up like that.
All of a sudden I was being lifted about 3 feet off the ground.
It was going slow. I was walking right underneath it.